Call the meeting to order. Approximately 6:13, August 12th, Committee of the Whole. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Here.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Here.
Councilwoman Waldman? Absent. Councilman Burgess? Absent. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Here.
Councilman Maldonado? Absent. Mayor Porter?
Here. Any additions, deletions, deferrals? None? Tab 1, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Manager.
Mayor, this one here, we just I'll need a little direction from you all. Carlos has got a slide presentation. There's 67 slides. So he could do that, or he could give you the summary, and we could be done with it. So your call.
Well, it's his birthday today, so how soon do you want to go home? So I think it's the short version.
Okay.
Anyone opposed to that on the council? No. Okay.
Go ahead, Carlos.
Basically, if you look at the last two slides, one of them has all the financial information, the numbers. It's pretty much a recap. We're basically saying that the proposed budget for the CIP for 2015 is $5,589,159, and what you see is basically how it's allocated, where the funding would come from. Electric utility, $2.2 million. Police forfeiture fund, $60,800. Police impact fees, $91,000. Park impact fees, $87,016. Public works impact fees, $246,490. The local option gas tax, $130,100. The People's Transportation Plan Fund, $356,047. The police, the Public Works Fund, which is primarily the Utilities Renewal and Replacement Fund, $1.2 million. And from the General Fund, $1.1 million. Now that's the project cost. If you look at the bottom, what we're saying, the impact of the general fund for 2015 as a result of these projects would only be $180,000, and that's because we would plan on financing that through SunTrust lease. So the impact of the first year would be minimized to that amount.
Any questions from council? Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, just one quick question, and that is, as far as the changes from last year when we looked at the CIP plan, this year we looked at the CIP, obviously we'll look at another one next year. Is there like a summation of what the changes were, things that have been removed, things that have been added, versus looking at it in a bulk form, trying to figure out what was there and what wasn't? And
I'm trying to think of any projects that were actually eliminated. I'd have to go back. I don't have that in front of me,
okay,
but I can try to get back to you on that.
Yeah, that was the only question I had when I looked at the information, and it just in bulk, it's there, it's great. You look at it in a vacuum, but just curious, as we have an evolving plan that goes from year to year, is there a way to compare what last year's looked like versus this year, so that we have a kind of a...
And you're just talking projects altogether, or the funding? Because I know funding last year was about $9.2 million in projects. This year it's 5.5. Is that what you're referring to?
Both. Yeah.
Okay.
Either or. Was there actual planned projects that were completely removed and no longer even on part of that plan for the capital improvements? Were there ones that were added that weren't part of it that are now going forward? Is there additional monetary values that have been added for existing projects? Those types of things, just so I can see the actual changes versus trying to understand it in a vacuum.
We'll send you a memo that outlines those changes. Basically, I think what he's looking for is the slots that were designated in last year's plan for this upcoming year. Was anything moved backwards or taken off the list? And then also, what were your adds?
Okay.
So we'll be able to do that, and then you'll also see a comparison between the funding sources for the proposed versus last year's or this current year's. And probably the biggest thing is, right now, it's probably going to be a recurring theme, because we'll be meeting with you individually within hopefully the next 2-3 weeks on the budget, and it's the recurring theme of, for the next year or two, we're still in a status quo mode in terms of trying to hang on to what we have without doing a whole lot more. So you can see there's not a whole lot of new stuff, and there's not a whole. It's less, it's not more, and so that's the best we can do at this point, because there's been a lot of demand for a whole bunch of stuff, and we just, right now, the money's not there.
Yeah, and for me, the purpose is just for an analysis, just so I can see. It's not that I'm expecting there to be a lot of new things, or not a lot of new things. That wasn't really part of my decision-making process. It's more or less just something that's more bite-sized and easier for me to see the differences versus having to see it all and then try to go through and pick it out myself.
No problem.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions from council? You need any specific instructions, or just for discussion right now?
Just for discussion, although if at any time somebody has an issue with, we wanted something on there that it's not on there, or we don't really think we should be doing something that's on there, just let us know before, as soon as possible, because obviously the numbers would change slightly. So these are all your decisions to make, and staff makes the recommendations, but ultimately you set the priorities, and so these are policy issues.
Okay, very good. Then we'll go to tab 2, minutes. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 3. Mr. Manager?
Mayor, this is, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to improve the grounds at J.D. Red Park, Mistretta Park, and James Archer Smith Park with the purchase and installation of playground equipment. Total purchase and installation cost is $38,250.30. Playmore Recreational Products and Services, quote, is exempt from competitive bidding pursuant to City Code Section 2-411.1A7, where the purchase is based on a proposal secured through a sole source vendor for goods and services that are available from the sole source only.
Questions from council?
Yes.
Yes, sir, Mr. Williams.
How often, well, how long since it's been since we did the James Archer Smith Park?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. James Archer Smith Park already had the playground equipment there before they built the park. And what happened, it just had some wear and tear, so we're improving that playground.
When you say improve, you're going to replace the equipment, or what do you mean by, I can take that, how many different, what do you mean improving? You're going to replace the equipment, or you're going to hire somebody to clean it? What are you saying?
What was, Councilman Williams, what it is that, like I said, James Archer Smith Park already had the playgrounds there at the time before it was built. And what we're doing is that we're improving and replacing part of the playground.
Dennis, could you explain which portions you're replacing and improving and expanding? I think that's the basis of your question, correct?
There is
Well, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's the basis of it. And then my other question is there a park improvement plan that we have for all the parks to be?
To answer the second question, our improvement plan, more or less, is when we do inspections every day to make sure that the park is safe, because we have to do inspection. And whenever we notice something that's going wrong or, deteriorating or getting old, we replace it.
All right. So let me, this has everything to do with my point. In your inspections of the equipment, let's take the bathrooms at Roby George Park. In your inspection of those, is there a checklist? Does anybody go behind them? Because, they're very, to me, to be unkept. So I'm asking these questions because if you're improving these parks, how many other parks do you have online to replace the equipment and stuff?
For playground equipment, these are the only 3 parks for so far that need to be improved.
Okay, all right. So, thank you.
Welcome, sir.
And also, if along the way you all see some need that exists, it's always good to know ahead of time so we can incorporate into our CIP. And each of the department heads, when they're asked to submit requests for the CIP, one of the things they're asked to check off is whether this is a health and safety issue, whether they've done inspections and kind of done the needs assessment. So
yeah, well, basically my concern is the upkeep of the parks and the facilities of it. And for instance, if I rent out rent a park, when I'm renting, I want to make sure that the bathrooms are clean and that it's sanitary. The equipment is clean. And when I go to some of the parks, that's not what I see. I mean, I can get you pictures of different parks, person rented, and it's just been not in the condition that persons are looking for. So if we're going to be upgrading and improving equipment, what are we doing to maintain the equipment in a aesthetic, pleasing, and safe manner that deals with sanitary conditions? That's my really major issue.
Councilman Williams, I know you touched base with the bathrooms. Is that at the pool area or the concession stand by the baseball field?
It's everywhere, to wherever the extent that you rent. It's everywhere. It's the maintenance of it. It's the cleanliness of it. You know, I think if we're going to be improving the parks and spending this kind of money to do that, then at some point there needs to be some kind of checklist and somebody to go behind to make sure that these parks are being maintained, especially sanitary, on some of the bathrooms and water fountain areas. I mean, it's just, I wouldn't take my, anyway, I have a real big concern about that.
Councilman Williams, I just wanted to let you know that we implemented a checklist for the supervisors. They have to, they got a scale from 1 to 10. They have to circle what they think their facility is, and then my assistant does park inspections to make sure that that's what they are when they mark it. If not, then the supervisor has to answer to us.
Okay, all right.
But we will check into it.
Anything else, Mr. Williams? Manager? Is there a motion to move this forward to the council agenda? Is there a second? No second?
Second.
Okay.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 4.
Mayor, the police department is required to provide school crossing guards at 4 local elementary schools: Laura Saunders Elementary, Redondo Elementary, West Homestead Elementary, Gateway Environmental Center. Total of 10 part-time crossing guards and 1 crossing guard supervisor will be contracted for those schools. Staff recommends the school crossing guard service contract be awarded to the lowest bidder, Staffing Connection Action Labor of Florida, in accordance with the bid prices listed on the attached bid tabulation sheet. School crossing guard service to be provided as noted in the below background.
Questions from council? I have a question. How long ago did the school board shift that responsibility to the cities? Anybody know? Captain Graham.
Red button.
Good afternoon. I don't know how long, Mayor, but I know we've been dealing with staffing connections since 2002 is when we took over the school crossing guard program, or when they stepped in and took over for us to handle that. Prior to that, the police department, at that time, Captain Washington was in charge of the school crossing guards, and the police officers literally had to go out there and do the crossing and, you know, and everything for the kids. So it just a little bit overwhelming because we didn't have the manpower to do it. So I know we've been dealing with staffing connections since 2002.
No funding came down from school board to help pay for that?
As far as I know, we get like $50,000 a year from the county. In our budget, it's $105,000, and we get the $50,000 back towards that.
It's just, there's no other alternative. We can't not have crossing guards.
We cannot
So
have,
it's
not
just
have.
It was an unfortunate shift of responsibility years ago, so just a point. So, thank you, Captain. I appreciate your update
Welcome.
there. Any other questions from council? Is there a motion to move that forward? Is there a second? Okay. All in favor? Motion carries. Tab 5, Mr. Manager.
Mayor, staff recommends mayor and council authorize city manager to purchase 3 automatic feeder switches, distribution equipment in accordance with price provided in response to invitation to bid 201425 automated feeder switches. This equipment will improve the reliability of the electrical system. Total purchase cost is $103,830. Capital
What?
Improvement Project number 132.
Questions from council? Is there a motion?
Move it. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 6.
Mayor, staff recommends mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase one all-tech model AT-37G bucket truck to be used by the electric utility. This purchase also includes the installation of the required additional equipment for this vehicle. Total purchase cost is $97,000. Capital improvement project number 230.
Questions from council? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Tab 7.
Mayor, staff recommends mayor and council authorize city manager to renew the contract with Markham LLP Accountants and Advisors for auditing services for an additional 1 year and the total amount of $127,500. This contract covers auditing service for financial audit, federal single audit, state single audit, and special compliance audit to the Children's Trust and GOB for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2014. Subsequent annual renewals may be mutually agreed to.
Questions from council?
Subsequent annual renewals may be mutually agreed to. Carlos?
The way it currently stands, we would be bringing it back to council every year to request the renewal.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any final comments, questions from council? Mr. Manager? Can you and Carlos and I stay around for a little while after this meeting so we can visit about his birthday? What he's going to do?
Perfect.
How he got the council let him off the hook so easily?
I know, it's
Mayor,
crazy.
Yes,
before
sir.
we close, just need to make an announcement. Today is the backpack giveaway. Also having a prayer vigil at Blakely Park for senseless violence that's going on in our community. We've invited all of you all should have gotten invites, and we've got participation from the Florida City Commission and the Chief of Police, the State Attorney's Office. And the prayer vigil will start at 8 p.m. Tonight
What was the location?
at Blakely Park.
Blakey Park.
Yes, backpacks will be distributed immediately after that. So those of you who can and come, we do have a outline and schedule. So you'll be asked to make brief statements on where we stand as a community and how we tend to impact the community through this senseless violence and crime and guns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Is there a second? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Good night, everyone.